Hey guys, it's Sam. Today I'm going to be doing an update on where I am in my planner journey for, let's say, September 2022, since it's the very end of August here as I'm filming. The last time I did an updated flip, I believe I was in pocket rings. I guess I've decided at this point that I'm just going to embrace whatever system I'm feeling drawn to use at any given moment. I've really put a lot of pressure on myself in the past to make a decision and stick with it. There is something romantic to me about choosing a book, using it all year, and having that be like your constant ride or die. But I have not been able to find that thing. So instead of trying to force myself into choosing something and using it no matter what, I think my new rule is going to be to just use what's making me happy at the moment and going with it. I have historically not liked to back plan into a book, and so that has caused me to have a lot of unfinished books throughout a year. Aside from a couple of years where I used the Hobo weeks pretty exclusively, and I had more of a filled out year with it. So what I have been doing, because it really doesn't take a lot of time, aside from my rings, which I haven't been updating as frequently, but it's gonna be super easy to do if I go back into this, only because I don't feel the pressure to fill in weeks that have already been completed that I miss in this because of the ability to take things in and out. I really like to use this for a reference binder. What I have found going back and really thinking about my system is that I generally have more information in rings than I do in any other planner. And a lot of these things I don't come back very often and update at all. So this would be a good planner to have most of the guts stay the same, even if it's just like on my shelf for me to pull out and reference. And then if I'm using it, throw in some new weeklies, or if it's a new year, new yearly and monthly. But I've just gone back and I've really thought about what I need in a planner. I don't use my inbox very frequently, and I don't reference these pages very often. I like the idea of a brain dump trigger list, but honestly, I don't think to come back here very often. I don't look at my wish list very often. I'm definitely not using my spoke to log as much as I thought that I would. I like the part that I really enjoy about rings is, like, for instance, I recently started trying to crochet, and I wanted to be able to have the lot numbers available to me when I go to like buy new yarn that matches. Obviously, if you crochet, you know what that is. I haven't crocheted in like 20 years, so and even then it was like a project. But I like that I can just throw this in and it doesn't have to be a permanent part of my planner, but it's important information for me in the moment. And the fact that you can just grab any piece of paper and slide it in any part of your planner. I just really like that about rings. The monthlies are obviously something that are used more frequently. For the pocket or pocket plus, obviously the sizing is very limited to the kind of information that you can put in, especially if you're like me and don't have naturally super teeny handwriting. So this space can be a challenge for me as well. The weeklies, it's either hot and cold. Either I want to track all of the things or I don't want to track anything. And as I came to the end of using this planner as my everyday carry, I had kind of moved to the not wanting to track all of the things, and so I haven't used this since the beginning of the month, but I like that I can just come in and pick it up. So you have all of your different sections, but going through it, I just realized that there's not a whole lot. I've not even been keeping up with my recurring tasks. I have not been keeping up with my online orders, planner spend. I like that I have this here because I'm able to write down things that I want to keep track of. Again, I have been using the bookshelf. I think I'm a couple of books behind now because I have read a couple of books since I was in this planner. And then my YouTube section where I can keep track of those things. And then just having like the notes section in the back. So I really do enjoy using rings for the portability, but at the moment I'm not drawn to use it. And I guess that's just, I really need to be able to kind of, when you start getting bored with using the same thing all the time, it's nice to just be able to change your mind, you know? And in my quest to find like planner nirvana, I have, I guess, limited myself or made myself feel guilty as a result, and there's no reason to. Let's go over where the status of my weeks, plural weeks. So the Hobonichi weeks I have loved for quite a few years. I found Hobonichi before it became really popular over here in the United States, and there are just some things that I really love about this planner. For me, the biggest hang up is that I don't like to use the pens that work with the Hobonichi paper the best. And the biggest hang up that I have really is that there are no grids on this side of the paper. So the fact that I feel like I don't have the like grip of my pen to the paper, so I don't feel like I have the control that I need. And I also don't have a grid on this side to help me keep my handwriting neat. I understand that you don't have to have a neat planner to be functional, but all I see is like mistakes and errors. I have purchased a second weeks, a non-mega weeks, and I've been tearing pages out when I feel like I have just really messed up the whole week. Like here, I'm trying to force myself to use different pens to see what I like the feel of best, because I really want to use a weeks next year. And I think that the answer is probably going to be that I do not use a mega next year. I just don't need all of the extra pages. I don't find myself doing a bunch of daily lists in it. Of course, if that's what I choose, I'll end up doing that next year and need another weeks anyway. But I have not wanted to give up on this planner, as much as it annoys me, because it has gone so many places with me. And I started this one at the very end of December, which is unusual for me. I usually just wait till the very beginning of the year. But we were getting ready to make that big trip to San Francisco, and I decided that I wanted to keep those memories with me all through the year. And then in the end, I didn't use this week's for most of the year anyway. But I really do enjoy this as a planner. I like the way it's set up. I like what it has to offer, and I do like flipping through these pages. I even just like that Hobo print in the front. I just like the way this looks aesthetically after I've kind of filled it with my stickers and things. And this is like one of my favorite things to do. I feel like it's just like an all about me kind of page, and I really enjoy it. So I think I'm gonna, especially now that there's an English version of the Hobonichi Weeks coming next year, I just don't think that I can tell myself no. So I have been trying my best to come and update this like at my desk once or twice a week. But I haven't felt led to carry this everywhere with me. Every time I do, I get frustrated again, and then I get rid of it out of my bag. The other one is the faux weeks that I've been using. And it honestly does have some limitations, and I will mention, because there's going to be somebody who asks, I'm sure, these are all of the new Moterm covers, the new Veg Tan line, which I highly recommend. I don't think that there are honestly any that are in stock right now, but watch the AliExpress app or website. I use the app because they have been restocking. This one is in the color Midnight, and as you can tell, you've got a lot of different texture variation instead of that like just everything looks the same stamped leather of their lower quality leathers of the past. But the faux weeks I really like a lot. The downsides for this one is that it's undated and there are practically no pages in the back. So with the Hobonichi weeks, I don't really like printing. I don't really like making my own layouts in the back. I've talked about this before. If I have to draw something myself, I just don't feel like it's like official or real. And that has been one of the things that have kept me from using a bullet journal. And I also don't want to have to buy like a blank something like a Stylogy and then fill it with a bunch of pre-printed items, because in my mind that kind of defeats the purpose. So if I have a Hobonichi and I'm using most of it the way it's intended to be used, but I have to throw a couple of pre-printed trackers or whatever in it to make it feel like it's a fully functional planner, then I'll do so. For this one, you really kind of, in my opinion, need another little notebook tucked in, which I think I have. No, it must have been in the other cover. But like one of the Hobonichi notebooks. And I like these because you can just use up the paper, tear it out. You don't have to feel bad. And they have this for the A6 as well. This one is limited otherwise because you can't really add a lot to it. There are not that many pages in the back here. And so I'm going to put some of this stuff in here, but there's only so many things that you can add. So I put the recurring tasks in here the other day and I filled out my books, but I otherwise hadn't filled out this. And then I can only fit a couple more things in, and then I'm out of space. And then I'm completely dependent on outside notebooks to bring in to write notes and lists and jot things down on, or post-its or whatever, which is fine really, because like I said, I have found that I have a lot of information that I don't ever even reference in this. So if I'm honest with myself about what I have to have in a planner, I would have room for this. But let's see, I'm not going to show you the one tracker. It looks much like the Hobonichi tracker, but it's got some personal information. And I guess the biggest holdup for me on this planner is this Undated Calendar. Now I have purchased things to make the monthlies, but I hate putting these little stickers down. This is from Randy.Plans, and I do enjoy her stickers, but it takes time. And I also don't like that there are no lines or grids on the monthly, but otherwise it's a really good planner. I just haven't taken the time to go through and like do all of that mass dating. Of course, you wouldn't have to make it functional still. If you get an appointment, put it on a post-it note, slap it into the month, and it'll get the information in there. I'm just afraid of like not getting everything in that I need. Now, I do plan to go through and fill this out for a whole year, but I haven't taken the time to do that yet. So I really think that this particular layout is just really great, because even though this doesn't have the grids, and that's still a downside for me, I would much prefer this have grids on both sides. And I don't know why these planners don't have that. I don't understand. I guess there would have to be a reason, but I can't understand what it is, because I feel like grids go away in my mind. So if I wanted to like decorate or put, you know, I can ignore the grids, but I like them there as a guide. If somebody knows why these kinds of planners don't include grids, please help a girl out, because I just don't get it. But even though they don't have the grids, and it's thicker paper, so you can't see through to really get a good guide. This paper does have more of that bite that I was talking about to it, and so I feel like I have more control, and even though I can't draw a straight line to save my life, I feel like it doesn't go off the rails as quickly in this as it does the Hobonichi weeks. The biggest thing for me that I love about this planner, and as much as I love the Hobonichi line, I really, really wish that the brand would get rid of the stuff at the bottoms. I do not understand. I think that they, it's like a kitschy point to them, but you definitely lose planning space here. But the grids are bigger, and a person who doesn't have really tiny handwriting, I just think that this looks so much neater, and I like that you don't have any distraction to the page. It's just nice and clean. So I am going to be getting a Hobonichi Weeks in the release. I don't believe it's going to be a mega, but I also think that I'm going to use a Fobonichi next year as well and just see which one wins. I do find myself updating this one more frequently than I do the Hobonichi Weeks because I have a more pleasant experience when I'm writing in it with my favorite pen, which is the Sarasa Vintage in the, I think it's ochre. I could be wrong, but I have loved that pen for years, and it's a go-to for me. So I haven't started filling out the planner for this week because I've been very, very sick, and I've spent a lot of time focusing on recovery and then just keeping updated with this little book, which is the newest arrival to my planner lineup. And I've used this in the past very briefly. I recently got a cover for it, and this is, I don't remember what the brand is for this one, but it's definitely not my favorite. It feels like a generic lunch baggie or something, but I wanted to get this one because it has the front pocket, but I'm gonna be replacing this one. But I recently purchased the A6 Avec for the current year because I wanted to try the A6 size out, the daily page, because one thing that I have really liked in the pocket and the A6 rings planning is adding in a daily space to kind of take over the place of like a journal slash planner, like all in one, because you can put the daily pages in, have your like appointments for the day, and then also just write a snippet of what had happened, your to-do list, all of those things. And I think that when I was specifically using the A6 and I brought daily pages into my planner equation, I stopped referencing the weeklies as much because I was enjoying having that larger space to fill out the day. So when I wasn't feeling compelled to carry either weeks, and I wasn't feeling compelled to use my pocket, I decided to throw something new in to see if I could kind of spark my planning joy back into life, and it has worked. I chose the Avec because I didn't figure I'd want to back plan an entire year, and I wanted to be able to feel successful in just being able to back plan from July. So I love this little book because it has so many of the useful additions that the weeks has. You have the calendar overview, which again, I don't reference very often. I'm going to use this for tracking. Again, I've been really sick, so I have not been tracking. And then you have your monthly pages, which I got this in August, so that's when I started filling it out. One of my little metal clips mangled the bottom of my planner here. But I have just ollie clipped, just like I used to do with the Hobonichi weeks. I have ollie clipped my month and my day together. And the way that I'm combating not having as many places to put like a running weekly list is I'm just throwing in a little note page so that I can keep in my mind what I have to do for the entire week, and then going into the dailies and writing what I am able to complete on the days. So I'm gonna use Post-its and other little notes to try to kind of fill out what I would be missing from a weekly. I do also have the weekly supplement on the way, but I know that it is super tiny, and I'm concerned with my not tiny handwriting that it's not going to be as functional or useful for me as I would like. But I wanted to get one in before the Hobonichi release next week and see if that's going to be an option for me to make this an all-in-one planner for the year. Although I will say that I'm still going to buy all of the things, because I get into this place, especially this time of year when I know the releases are happening, and I'm trying to like compress and simplify and flush things away so that I can make a decision, and then I place my order, and then I end up wishing that I had chosen other things and then spending more money on shipping trying to get the other things. So I fully intend to buy all of the things in this release so that I can get things in and make decisions. I do prefer the Japanese version because it feels more like a planner to me, because you have that full timeline, you have the check boxes at the top, you have that like line that goes away, and for me this functions perfectly as a planner / journal. So I'll just go back to where I've used it at first. And I will also say it could be the fact that it's novel and new, or it could also just be that it's really working for me. Time will tell. But I ended up taking, I think, both Hobonichi and Phobonichi and pocket rings and this A6. It didn't have a cover. My covers actually just arrived this morning. I did pay the extra shipping to get them here quickly this time. I stopped myself and I was like, are there other shipping options here, in my frantic checkout? But I took this book, which I really do like this book outside of a cover as well, because it's just so flat and so easy to write in. But I like it being in a something, so I don't have to worry about the pages getting all messed up. So there's that. But I took all of those planners with me on our recent trip to Pittsburgh, and the only one I used while I was there was this little book. So obviously it's working. I've used it every single day. I've had it in bed with me as a comfort while I was sick, or at my sickest, I should say. I'm not like completely better yet, but I just really have been enjoying this. I will say that I really do wish that the English version was just this version, but in English and not different in the layout, because I think that this is the most functional of all of the layouts that they have to offer. So I wish that I could just get this, but in English. The other one feels more like a diary to me, and it would just take work for me to make these lines and all of that. And I find if I have to do a lot of work like that on a daily basis, I know that I'm just not going to stick with it, because I need my planner to work for me and not have to have so much work into it myself. So yeah, I feel very settled in the fact that I've given myself permission to just use what I'm liking at the moment. Back planning, even if I'm back planning in the Hobonichi weeks and in the Phobonichi weeks, it only takes a few minutes. I don't do a lot of decor. I don't do a lot of extra stuff. It's really just copying information from one book to another. And the rings, I'm not concerned so much with keeping it updated, because a lot of this stuff is stuff that I only have to make sure that certain lists and things are kept up with in the end. And it's not important to me to make sure that I have every single week, because I generally don't keep these pages in the same way. I might not throw them away, but I don't keep them in the same way I do these completed books. So that is my update for now. I make no promises about where I will be next month, but I would say that you'll see me soon when I make my Hobonichi purchases. I love opening those boxes and getting all the new toys for the upcoming year. So just checking in with you guys. Have you found a good system? Have you decided on a multiple system like I have? Making the decision to not make a decision, maybe, like me? I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. If you have any questions about anything and I haven't covered it here, I'm happy to answer those as well. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you're new around here and don't want to miss out on future videos, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye guys.